Our most famous North American mounds are the effigy mounds, images that have been created on the land of animals, birds, or reptiles. We are unique, North America, in having mounds, earth art that is formed in this way. It was created by carrying earth and stone to the site to form a kind of rhythmically moving, pulsing serpent as it moves across the landscape. The height of the mound itself originally was 5 feet. Erosion has taken a toll on it, so in places it's underneath that. I'm going to say between 4 and 5 feet. The total length of the serpent, if it were uncoiled, is 1/4 of a mile. So it's a pretty impressive endeavor in terms of the work that would have been required to create this land art. I also think it would be kind of tough, even using a grid, to get this entirely right. But I think we do have the sense of a pulsing, moving snake across the landscape. It is 3.9 in our textbook, and our author does let us know there's a bit of a problem over dating this. For a long time, we assumed that this was Hopewell, and it is located near other Hopewell mounds, so that seemed to make sense and it seemed to be a good fit. However, fairly recently, a sampling was taken from the mound of a material that, when tested with carbon-14, the date came back a little bit later, pushing it into Mississippian. I'm not sure at the end of the day that it really matters if it was Hopewell or Mississippian, because it testifies to a continuous mound building tradition. And more than that, I think it also clearly illustrates the skills of early Native Americans in the United States. So what are we actually looking at? Well, I think you can see the pulsing body, the rhythmically moving body as the snake kind of creeps across the landscape. Let's start back here. This is the tail, all coiled, of our serpent, and then the individual sections as our snake literally snakes through the ground. And then we get up here and there's a triangular formation, and that is sometimes interpreted as the head of the snake, sometimes as the mouth of the snake, because beyond it there is an oval form, and that oval can be interpreted as the head of the snake, the eye of the snake, or as an altar. When this was first investigated, let's take a look at the map. This is the way it was drawn in the middle of the 19th century. So the forms then were a little bit clearer. The folks doing the excavation work, the archaeology here, and the drawing and mapping of it were a little put out, because in this oval section right here, there had been a pile of stones and burnt material. And apparently someone, as they said pretty negative things about this person too, came along and moved the stones around, disrupting the construction of the stones in that oval. And they accused the person of being there, moving the stones, looking for valuables, for gold, which wouldn't have been something that the Hopewell interred with their effigy mounds or even with their burials. In other words, what we have then is a kind of remaining mystery about what that oval actually was used for. Was it an altar site where offerings were burnt? And that is a likely conclusion. But is it, as it's been suggested, the eye of the serpent? Or someone else has suggested, and this makes some sense too, is it an egg that the serpent might be swallowing? An egg, of course, is a symbol associated with rebirth and renewal, and so can a serpent be, because of the shedding of its own skin. The sense of cycles, the passage of time, continuation and renewal and rebirth. I can't tell you for sure. This is such a unique monument. What I can tell you is that it's also a very sophisticated monument. Over on our left are some shots that I took when I was visiting the Serpent Mound. It gives you a little bit of a sense what it's like when you're down at ground level. We're used to looking at it from the sky because that's the only way, like the Nazca lines, which are subtractive as opposed to the additive creation, bringing Earth and heaping it up to create a mound shape that we have in North America. As we take a look at my diagram, that's what I'd like you really to see, because the Serpent Mound is clearly aligned to the skies. There is no doubt that this is an astronomical monument. And because of that, I'm going to suggest also, I kind of buy into the idea of it being associated with ideas of rebirth and renewal that might align with the growing seasons. Regardless, there are some pretty sophisticated astronomical alignments. I'm going to say the major one runs through the mouth and the eye of the serpent, and that is aligned to summer solstice at sunset on the horizon. In addition to that, if you follow from the tail through the very base of the triangular shape for either the head or the mouth of the serpent, and you run in a straight line, that is true north, and it is directing your eye towards Polaris, essentially towards the North Star. In addition to that, we have summer solstice sunrise, which is this alignment located right here. And then through the other pulsing form of the serpent, we have an alignment with the equinox. That would be a sunrise equinox alignment. And then through the last pulsing form of our slithering serpent, we get winter solstice at sunrise. All of this indicates that this serpent mound is a pretty sophisticated observation of the skies, and that it might have been used ritually. Because of the new date that is associated with the Serpent Mound, there is something else that's been suggested that deals with the alignments to the skies, or with sky watching and awareness of the skies in general. If the dating, the carbon-14 dating that we recently acquired is correct, there are two events that occurred in the sky at about that time. The one that probably is the most impressive in terms of a relationship to the Serpent Mound is the appearance in 1066 of Halley's Comet. And the image of the serpent on the ground has been suggested by more than one archaeologist to reference the appearance of that comet in the sky, acknowledging an event that I'm pretty sure for Native Americans would have been noteworthy, if not traumatic, and recognizing it and putting it actually on the landscape. By doing that, perhaps bringing the powers down from the sky, or the above world where the comet was located, into our realm, and depicting it in the form of a creature that is associated with the underworld or the world below us, and linking them together in a powerful image that might relate to renewal and to rebirth and continued life. Or it could have been an attempt to bring balance and harmony between the above world and the below world, creating harmony here in our world for human beings.